presentation because like my last one covers so much. So this one's going to probably be a bit shorter and also a bit rough around the edges. So bear that in mind when we're going through it. This is kind of a trial run for it to see if it flows well or if it's all right. And I haven't made a presentation properly in like a year and a half or something. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. And if it's a complete trash fire, then don't worry about it. Hopefully there'll still be some knowledge and stuff in there that you can glean from it. And obviously I'll be around for a bit afterwards to ask any questions about anything. So yeah, we'll get started. First of all, the video, because we love videos. I'm just going to play this. Enjoy. We love it. I love half of that trailer. The first half's like kind of dead, but I like the second half when the music kicks off. Anyway, I need to stop the stream and restart it with my presentation, so bear with me a second. Oh, I've lost my Discord. All right, there we go. I think I saw my embedded QA in that video, so that's the first time I've seen him, and he looks a lot younger and a lot less stressed, so I'm going to bring that up to him next time. But yeah, so anyway, back onto the main event. Okay, so this is my new talk, and it's called "Who is this guy?" We're going to be looking at who is this guy, pretty much. So, so about this guy. So he studied IT at college. He worked at Game as well at the same time. So my kind of passion for gaming started way back then. I remember getting an Xbox 360, and Modern Warfare 2 was the first thing that I got on that because I got it quite late compared to everyone else. Gaming was something I discovered like later. And then yeah, I went to work at Game because I tried a few other places and I didn't get anywhere with it. But yeah, then the Game Christmas jobs came up, and I was like, you know what? Let's go for it. See if we can get in, because that would be like a dream job. While you're at college, anyway. Yeah, I got it. I did some Christmas work, and then they took me on. I remember there was this big meeting, and they were like, congratulations, we're going to offer you a contract. And I was like, oh, no way, that sounds amazing. And they were like, yeah, it's a 4-hour contract. And I was like, yeah. But that's nothing really. But back then it was a huge deal to me. My first like proper job. Um, but yeah, absolutely loved it. Learned a lot of cool skills. Helped me now, like how to talk to people, strangers. Um, Still got some to work on for that. But yeah, anyway, then I went after I finished college. I went and studied game design at Staffordshire University. So I think all of you lot know what that's like. After that, graduated. So 3 years later, graduated. Then I moved out to Bucharest in Romania to work as a weapon artist at Ubisoft. The actual role was environment artist, but basically I got there and they were like, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be a weapon artist." So yeah, Ubisoft like to just label everything under environment artist. So you could be working on characters' vehicles. It's really silly to be honest, but yeah, they just reversed me when I got there, which was really good because my portfolio was like mostly environment art and one weapon, and they picked me just because of that one weapon. So I remember at the time I was told by a lot of the lecturers that there wasn't many weapon jobs and the environment jobs there's like way more of, and it's easier to get into. So I kind of I stopped doing weapon art and changed to environment art. And then I got there and they were like, "You're going to do weapon art," so it worked out pretty well for me. After that, so what I didn't put there is I did 1 year's 6 months as a weapon artist, but I also did an additional 6 months on top of that at Ubisoft as an environment artist. Um, so in total, I was at Ubisoft for 2 years. The environment art stuff I didn't really enjoy that much there. There was a lot of kind of creative freedom taken away from me, which I didn't really like, and that was also one of the reasons why I decided to move back to the UK. So I moved back to the UK. I've been a prop artist for 2 years, 2 months. Currently at Cloud Imperium Games, working on Star Citizen. Absolutely love the job. It's absolutely phenomenal. Some amazing people, and a hell of a lot of creative freedom for a game of our scale, which is pretty awesome. And then in that time, I went from intermediate prop artist to senior prop artist. So I am now the senior prop artist on the Interactables team. So the Interactables team is sort of like a props team, but we also deal with kind of more interactable elements. So an example I always use when I'm talking about my work is we have like medical beds in the game, which have like functionalities. So they go up and down, they scan the player, they have like a screen that comes out. We're responsible for setting up kind of more complex props like that, where there's functionality required as well. So it's not just the art side; it's a bit more technical. If you've done like visual scripting inside of Unreal Engine with Blueprint, it's similar to that, but not the user interface is just not as friendly. So anyway, but who is this guy? We've learnt a little bit, but who is this guy really? So the uni experience. So a lot of you are going through the uni experience at the moment, and this is kind of going to be a kind of account of what my uni experience was like. A lot of memes, a lot of fun, a lot of messing about. Yeah, a lot, a lot of crazy times. So I split my 3 years into pretty much this. So at uni, year one is kind of learning that making games isn't just like writing a large Google document, like I thought when I came out of college. I literally turned up with no idea how games were made. I didn't know about art. I didn't know about animation. Well, I knew about them, but not how in depth they were. I used to think that games were just generated on a whim. You just write down your ideas and then somehow they're made. Oh, how naive I was. But yeah, year one, you kind of get into the nitty gritty of how games are actually made and what's involved, and then you cry because you realise, wow, there's a lot more to it than just a few lines of code. Year two, try to decide what discipline you want to do, and you try to get your collab team to work. I think it's called collaborative games development now. It was called junior senior when I was there. there's a lot less collaboration in collaborative games development than you'd think. I don't know if it's changed much, but for me, it was mostly wrangling people on the team to actually produce any work. And yeah, more crying, because you're kind of at this point, you're sort of like at your middle point during uni, and you don't know what you want to do. And it's terrifying, because you're like, right, cool, I've got 2 years left to specialize all of my time and effort to get one job. And at that point, I didn't know what I liked, so even harder. You've got to try and decide, with not much experience on any of it. And then year 3, still haven't decided what I wanted to do, or might be in a position where you've decided, but it's too late, because you've only got like a year left, half a year to learn. 3 years of experience compared to someone that joins at the beginning and knows immediately what they want. And then you've got to try and deal with the dread of once that third year's over, that's it. You're back with your parents, and they're forcing you out because they want their spare room back again. They've enjoyed the last 3 years of you being away. And no more tears left, because you've gone through the stress of year 1, year 2, and year 3 at this point, and you're just coasting and hoping it works out. Tough times. You've got 3 years to learn how games made, trial what you enjoy, decide what discipline you want to specialize in, devote the time to learn it, live with messy flatmates, devote time for gaming and other hobbies, socialize, find and get the job of your dreams. It's a long list of stuff to do. It's life-defining stuff as well. And it's terrifying and makes you not want to get up in the morning. So, what's my advice for this kind of stuff? Keep calm. Just try and keep calm. Try and take it one step at a time. If you keep thinking about the fact that after year 3 you've got to be in a job, or that 3 years was for nothing, if you keep thinking like that, it's going to drive you insane throughout that whole uni experience. So try not to. Find your path. So that's the main thing I feel like everyone needs to focus on, right? Because I see a lot of people that for example, let's say you're a 3D artist, right? There is a lot of disciplines within 3D art. And I speak to so many students where they love 3D art, but they can't pick what they want to do in 3D art. So they don't know if they want to be an environment artist or a prop artist or a weapon artist, or a vehicle artist, and they kind of go for this middle of the road, like, kind of thing where their portfolio ends up being like 3 or 4 different disciplines. Try not to do that. Try and have a think about what it is you enjoy doing. So for me, it was originally weapon art, because I just loved spending lots and lots of time pouring effort into something, something small. Because if you think about like an environment, right, it's massive, and there's all sorts of stuff, and you have to populate it with all sorts of different architecture and stuff, and it ends up being one piece, but maybe it's a room or a street or something along those lines. Whereas weapon art, it's it's one object, and it's split up into different pieces, but you get to really kind of focus on developing it, and there's some really cool complex shapes in some of them, and I just really enjoyed the process of taking one object and just making it look insane. My uni work was shit though. Like, don't get me wrong, I liked the idea of doing that, developing one asset, but the gun that I had when I came out of uni that got me the job was actually awful, and I don't know why they hired me. But yeah, they did. But that's what I like now. And then I went into prop art because it's essentially a similar kind of thing, right? You're developing, singular items, but you get to devote a lot of time to that, and you're not kind of rushed. So, but yeah, think about that. Think about what you're playing now that you like. So, if you're playing Fortnite and you like stylized art, then maybe you want to go down the stylized art route. If you're playing God of War Ragnarok that's just come out, and you want to go work for Sony Santa Monica, look at not just hard surface, but look at your sculpting and stuff, and historical items, or maybe you want to be a prop artist, or maybe you want to do environment art with amazing snow and ice materials. Think about your favorite games art, and use that as kind of like a base of the direction you want to go in, at least. If you're into shooters, for example, then you probably like weapons or military stuff, so you can go down the hard surface route, or the weapon route. Get inspired. So if you're sat looking at your games and you're like, okay, I like playing these, but I really don't like the art or the way it's designed. Try and get inspired. Play some new stuff. Go on CD keys and find like something that's on sale for extremely cheap, or wait for a Steam sale, or see what your friends are playing. Jump onto that community tab and just scroll down and see what people have been playing, what they've bought and stuff. What's trending at the moment. I know, what's it, Warhammer Dark Tide just came out. I know that's trending at the moment. God of War Ragnarok, that kind of thing. Most importantly, this one was a really, really good one for me. Watch documentaries and studio culture videos. So what do I mean by that? Everyone in this chat has probably seen Indie Game the movie, or at least heard of it. Stuff like that. That's the most mainstream one, but Sony have like documentaries. So I know I keep going back to God of War, but they have a really awesome 2-hour long documentary about how the first God of War was made. There's one on Horizon Zero Dawn. There's channels like No Clip on YouTube where they go and interview the developers at studios. Watch stuff like that. It's all well and good watching trailers and playing games, but actually looking through the window to a studio and how they work will really inspire you to want to work there, because it's not just like a normal office. It's like a cool office. Free drinks, free food, free pastries. Very nice. But yeah, use your time wisely. Don't just go home after your lecture. Honestly, the amount of I need to stop swearing. I was about to say the F word. The amount of individuals that would go straight home after an hour lecture and be like, oh well, that's me done with uni for today. Time to play League of Legends till it's time to go to Mucky Duck to get slathered. Don't do that. Don't do that. Uni, yes, there's you have one. Back when I was at uni, it was like the Friday was full of lectures. There was one on a Wednesday, and then one on a Monday or something. It was spread out like that, and it's you are in full-time education. Start doing the education bit at home as well, because don't waste that time. Don't waste that time. It's so valuable. And there is just so many students at the moment coming out of university and going into the jobs that are available here. You're competing against them. There's people that are literally going to be waking up every morning at 6 a.m. and 3D modeling until 12, and then going straight to sleep and doing it all over again. So yeah, do not procrastinate at home. Do your lecture and then go and continue studying at home, whether that be playing games or anything like that. Just as long as it's related to your study, do something. Do personal development stuff. So just basic stuff, I don't know, go along to game dev sessions, go and watch talks like this. Thank you for coming, everyone. And yeah, just keep developing yourself, because you could be the best 3D modeler ever, but your social skills might not necessarily be the best. And you need to sort of have both, right? Because you can ace that art test, but I've had so many I've reviewed art tests recently where they've been absolutely amazing, but then I've gone in and asked people what do they enjoy, what do they like, and they've not been able to hold a conversation, or even they'll be like Star Wars, and then that's it, the conversation's over, and it's give me more. Why do you like Star Wars? What? Tell me about your childhood. What did you watch during your childhood? What inspires you to do your art? What do you play? Why are you here? Why did you do 3D art? Why did you choose it? Or why did you do programming? Tell me more about that. it needs to be more substantial. Anyway, I don't have time. So again, going back to that, you do have time. Like everyone that's like, I don't have time. It's one of the most common excuses I hear from students. And you know, if you're if you've got no money, no student finance money or anything, and you know you're having to work a job alongside uni to make that kind of money to be able to live, then fair enough. But it's so important. You know, make the time, focus. Why don't be at uni if you're not gonna commit and study for it? Because otherwise you're just wasting your own money, right? You're getting 40 odd grand in debt for no reason. Um, don't put things off. Try and get into a routine. So, like I said, like when you're done with lectures, come home, work till 6 p.m. or whatever. Then take the time to relax and do what you'd normally do. Treat it like work. You should really wake up in the morning, work on your craft, and then at the end of the day you can go back to normal and chill out. It's about 70% self-study. So the stuff I can only kind of speak for the art side because I haven't done programming at uni, but like 70% of the stuff that you need to become an artist in the games industry, you're going to do outside of uni, because it is just about the craft outside of uni and developing those skills. Because yes, you can do your like assess tutorials, and yes, you can learn like your techniques and watch a PowerPoint presentation about how to do things. But until you actually take what you've learned in lecture and apply it to your own stuff and do it again and again, it's not going to stick, and you're not going to get fast at it, and you're not going to be competitive compared to the other people that are applying. There are some insane people out there, insane, like people that wake up at 6 a.m., don't drink any coffee, and then go and pump out 16 hours of work, and then they go out and drink, and then they come home, and then they work more, and then they go to sleep for like 2 hours, and then they get up and do it again, and it's like, what the? You're competing against mad people like that. Honestly, it's terrifying. Some people, terrifying. Take it from me. Um, yeah, like I'm going off track on a lot of these points, but yeah, the industry is extremely competitive, and there's a minimum standard you need to get to. Right, so focus on getting there. Like I said, yeah, there's other there's other people who would be sweating 12 hours a day to get that job or more. Um, so work hard at it. The most important thing is it is worth the hard work. So like I know it's really hard sometimes to motivate yourself to do things. Trust me, I had it at uni where I think during my third year was when I turned around to myself and said, right, waking up at 1 p.m. is not gonna get me anywhere. So something has to change, and I started waking up earlier and going into labs and stuff, and you know don't get stuck. Don't get stuck after year 3 working at Tesco, uh, because you're. I guarantee you, like any hard work you put yourself through at uni, if you do all that and then end up working at Tesco and then having to do all that 3D learning and all your learning towards getting into the game industry in that couple of hours after you finish work, in a full-time job, it is not fun. That's why the time's so valuable now, because your schedule is as clear as it's ever going to be. Like I try and do personal work now, and it sucks sometimes because you just come back from work, your brain's scrambled egg, and it's awful. So please use that time now, because you will not regret it. Like you will, if you carry on and you work hard here, you will succeed. You will get that job. So put the effort in now, because this guy did. But who is this guy? I'm dying inside of this. I'm really sorry, everyone. Oh dear. Yeah, like I said, personal work. So, uni's one thing. I know sometimes the uni modules, you get a set brief, and it's like, I hate this. I know there's like one of the units I was like sculpting like like a half naked dude, and I was just like, this ain't the one. Why did I pick this? So yeah, uni modules aren't always going to be interesting to you. So do some personal work and take some time to work on something that you are actually passionate about or interested in. So for me, obviously, it's like weapons and stuff. So I did. Like, I've got 2 examples on here of personal work that I did while I was in the games industry. But back at uni, I did stuff like, I think during year 1, I did like a Nuka-Cola machine, and it's the most awful looking thing ever. It's really bad. The texturing's like just a diffuse map. It's awful. It's actually the worst. But it helped me learn more about UV mapping, which, yeah, I mean, Dave can explain to you what UV mapping is, but for me, it didn't really sink in until I actually applied it to something completely different that I'd modeled on my own. And I think doing personal work's a brilliant way to do that, because while you can follow kind of instructions from PowerPoints at uni and stuff and kind of follow briefs, until you actually go and explore something that might, maybe is a bit more challenging or, has different challenges, you're not going to really learn. You're not going to come across those scenarios that make you think, oh, how does this work? And also, it allows you to explore new workflows and techniques. So, for example, at uni, they might teach you how to do a high to low bake with subdivision modeling, which is like, the standard, your bog standard stuff. But there's some really powerful stuff we use in industry that, wasn't taught at uni. Like when I got to Ubisoft, we started straight away with the ZBrush workflow, the Dynamesh workflow. And we didn't really have that at uni at the time. So if you maybe you're going through YouTube and looking for new content, do a small personal piece, learn some new workflows and techniques, and make sure it is something small, right? Don't go. I've seen people. Oh, I've started modeling this tank. Like it's got a full interior and the outside's done, and it's like, no, don't, because you're gonna spend like 6 months on that fucker. Like, all pardon my French. Do something small, right? So for me at the moment, I'm trying to learn Blender because I want to make some like 3D models to sell and stuff. Like it's a bit of a side project. So yeah, I've started learning Blender. I'm following a tutorial to learn how to get the basics done, which is this site. This site is my Blender practice, and it's a new workflow. Blender has its own modifiers and stuff, and its own way of generating high polys, and it's really interesting actually, because it has a lot of functionality that the ZBrush Dynamesh workflow has, but built into one program. So this way, I don't have to get ripped off by ZBrush and have to buy a license or pirate it. So very nice. Back at Ubisoft, I did these bullets. This was just texture practice, so very, very basic model. It's just a cylinder with some, some loops in it. Any of you people could do it, like promise. And yeah, it's just taking something that has 2 really basic materials, right, and just trying to push them as far as possible to get your texture in better. Stuff like that is really going to help. Like I said, tutorials, easiest ways to learn. Honestly, like uni lectures are really, really good. Like honestly, like some of them are really, really good. But I found most of my learning came from watching someone do it, literally copying them on my computer, and yeah, doing that a few times. So a lot of them are not super expensive. They have a lot of current industry workflows. So these two pictures here are from a Tim Burgle's tutorial. He is the first guy. Like, he had a free tutorial on YouTube, which was the grenade, which I followed, and then I bought the AKM tutorial, which is probably the most common gun tutorial ever. But it taught me about the process they used at Ubisoft, like a while back. Now, by the time I came out of uni, that process was outdated, and now he's done more tutorials that have like more up-to-date stuff. But it helped me so much because it's like, it's a AAA artist showing you how to do AAA work, whereas like, at uni you're going to get a lecturer teaching you stuff that maybe isn't the most relevant stuff, or it is your fundamentals, and the fundamentals are great, but the industry is just so fast moving. It's impossible to like, capture, current workflows and stuff. So yeah, I think Staffs is one of the unis that do a really good job of like, the lecturers actually give a shit and they actually want to like, learn the latest stuff and, arm students to be able to go into the industry and, have a bit of an advantage compared to other unis. So I swear to God, I'm not being sponsored by the uni in any way. Okay, I promise. So yeah, these are a few good tutorials. So specifically for weapon art and prop art. So Chamfer Zone, which is Tim Burgles, that's his like brand. That's what the grenade and the AK tutorial is from. So the grenade one's actually free. He's also got he's got like a kukri knife one, which is free as well. Really, really good tutorials to get started if you're trying to learn fundamentals and learning. I say the workflow's probably a bit outdated, but just having knowledge on it is really good. Simon Fuchs. I don't know how to pronounce that surname, but yeah, we'll go with that. He's done this Mauser tutorial that's at the top, the cool looking, World War II captain's pistol. Really, really good tutorial. I believe he models in Maya and then uses the ZBrush workflow for that one. But I could be wrong. He's done a couple. So he's done one where it's Maya and one where it's 3ds Max. So depending on what you use, there are options out there for you to pick. And then Eugene Petrov. So I think the radio tutorial is Eugene's, or it might be Simon's. But the radio tutorial is a Maya tutorial, but it uses ZBrush as well. But I mean, if you know how to use 3ds Max or Maya or either or, you can kind of use it and follow along because it's still the same modeling kind of techniques. There might be a tool here or there that changes, but still good. And then Eugene Petrov. So that handgun in the middle is a Eugene Petrov one. And Eugene is specifically very, very, very good at texturing. So I'll get onto this later, but my texturing kind of workflow, I learnt from him, and I basically have adapted and changed it. But it's such a good tutorial. If you find that your textures are absolute sugar, go and get that tutorial. Go and get Eugene Petrov tutorial and follow it, and just watch what happens. Like the amount of detail he goes into, it's insane. And it's a perfect reflection of how everything should be textured. So that's tutorials. Do extra, yeah. So Game Dev Society, well done everyone that turned up. If you're watching this on a recording, do better. Come on. Joking, of course. But student rep, course rep. So if there's opportunities for stuff like that, to be able to influence the way the courses run or collect feedback from others, do that, because that kind of helps develop your social and managerial skills and helps you organize, feedback and stuff, which all sounds really simple, right? But when it comes down to doing it and actually putting in the time, it's a different story. But it will help you out. Like I said, help new students. So if you're in 3rd year and you see your 1st year struggling with stuff that you were struggling with, reach out and help out. Get involved with them, because it means a lot. Like I remember in my 1st year, I got really stuck with normal maps at one point, and a 3rd year helped me, and voila, it was just really nice, and I was very thankful. Attend talks. So yeah, go to more talks. Yuki conference, all that stuff. And do game jams. So even if you don't know what the hell you're doing, just go and do it. Just go meet people, go make a game with strangers, and even if it ends up being an absolute, trash fire, don't worry about it. Like it's game dev experience. No matter how chaotic, and it's a lot of fun. We got some so I got some screenshots of like the game jam stuff we did. So I've done 2 game jams. First one was like amazing. The second one was not as amazing, but still we came out with a functional game, and that's what counts really. Like it worked. We had something happening. So yeah, do extra stuff. Because you know who did extra stuff, right? This guy did. But who is this guy? We're going to find out. So the Ubisoft experience. So cool. You finished uni. First job. Let's go. Ubisoft. One of the big hitters. Honestly, I was elated when I got the job. I was absolutely over the moon. You know, I was really lucky. I applied at Ubisoft in the UK, and they actually rejected me because they had like 4,000 applicants when I applied, because it was like a junior role. And they didn't even look at my portfolio or anything. They just said, "Oh, soz, mate." So you can have the best portfolio ever. Not saying that mine was the best, because it certainly wasn't. Mine was average at best, and you might not even get looked at. So I was like, you know what, I'm getting rejected left, right, and centre in the UK. So I started applying abroad because yeah, I didn't really, I don't really get homesick. My relationship with my family isn't the best, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna apply abroad and try and get some like life experience. Hopefully, it'll help me with my confidence issues and develop me into someone better. So yeah, I applied in for Ubisoft in Romania, and they actually, it actually went through pretty damn fast. The cool thing about other countries is, right, the UK is like almost like an epicenter of game development, right? It's there's America, and then there's like the UK, but the UK is like so much smaller with like so many more studios. But as a result, they have like loads of uni courses as well. So basically, there's just a massive amount of students trying to get into the game industry, and there's some jobs, but they just get filled instantly by people that are just insane at what they do. So it can be really hard. It's not impossible. There are definitely like a hell of a lot of talented people, but from my perspective, when I was doing it, my portfolio was not good enough for a UK job. It just wasn't. At the time, I was constantly lying to myself and saying it was, but it really wasn't. The work quality was just not there. And I think the only reason I got the job in Romania is because the quality of education over there for 3D is just not very good. There's like digital art courses, but it's not specifically aimed at games. So yeah, I got the job there. It went pretty well. Interviews went brilliantly, and yeah, I went over. And I remember the first day, I got a job as an environment artist, but they were like, "Welcome to the weapons team." I remember like meeting my manager, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, welcome, welcome. Yeah, nice to meet you and everything. This is the team. Yeah, so this is your desk. Yeah, just get your computer set up and we'll go." And I was like, "Cool, nice to meet you. Like, what am I working on? What's the project?" Because there was Watch Dogs Legion, there was Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and there was Ghost Recon and Rainbow Six Extraction, all being worked on at the same time at this studio. And I was like, "What the hell am I working on?" And he was like, "You're now on the weapons team for Ghost Recon." And that was like, I remember in my soul that day, I was like, "Oh my god, I am so lucky!" Like what a reveal! Like literally until the final minute, and then yeah, the rest of the day I was just setting up my PC and smiling like an idiot. They probably think British people are really weird over there now because of that, but yeah, no, it was brilliant. I was the first. I was the first person to join the art team that wasn't a Romanian in the whole 25-year history of the studio, so it was like pretty cool. Yeah, I made some cool Romanian workmates. They're absolutely sound. Still talk to some of them today. And yeah, they taught me like so much. I can't tell you how much you learn when you get into a job. It's almost like you're learning triples when you get into the frying pan. And yeah, they were all super passionate about what they did. So our weapons team was like a small little team, and it was wonderful. And yeah, it was fun. I got to experience living in a foreign country and being out of my comfort zone. And oh my god, it was scary at first, but about 3 months in, I kind of settled down, and yeah, it was kind of relaxing in a way because, like, you know, in the UK, you obviously everything's in English, so you can just read everything and you can hear everyone's conversations when they're walking past and stuff. In Romania, it's kind of like, you know, people are chatting all around you, but you don't understand any of it. So like your brain automatically kind of just like zones out and you just ignore everything, and it's so tranquil and peaceful. Um, in fact, when I came back for the first time, I was getting headaches in public just from like suddenly I could understand everyone on the street, and I was picking up on words, and um, yeah, it it was stimulating to begin with. So I got headaches when I first came back, but settled down after a while. And yeah, we got to do some really awesome activities. So there will be some pictures later, but you know, for example, in Romania, the gun laws are a lot less strict than the UK. So I actually got to fire some like assault rifles and stuff like that, which was amazing, to be honest. And then yeah, so I've got some of the work that I did. So I did like a crossover event for Rainbow Six, which was cool. Um, they gave me this gun. This was the first gun I worked on 100% myself, and they gave it to me because it's British. I was like, thanks, guys. I hate it. But it's got my initials on there. I think it's got the date that I finished modeling it as well. But there's lots of little serial numbers on the weapons, and we hide like little things in them. So like you can see there's an LT in there, my initials, because I'm not vain at all. I put LT on all my guns. It's like I worship myself. But yeah, awesome time. You know, free collector's edition of the game with a statue. You know, I got to go shooting. I'm actually in an art book. I wonder if I got it here actually, somewhere around here. I'll dig it out. Oh wait, yeah, I see it. Oh. So this here is the Ghost Recon Breakpoint art book, and we've got an entire section dedicated to weapons in here. And I got my book signed by like all of my friends from Romania. So that is probably my favorite bit of, I don't know, merch from my game dev experience, because it's my work inside a published book, which is fucking cool. Pardon my French again. You're gonna have to get an editor to like go through and edit out all the slurs. Yeah, first game credit under weapon artist, which was awesome. And yeah, got to live in a beautiful hot country. It was lovely. So while I was there, I shipped Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I worked on a bunch of updates for Ghost Recon Wildlands. One of my weapons was actually like one of the best-selling weapons in the history of the game, which was really, really awesome. And I worked on Ghost Recon Frontline as well, but we won't talk about that because that got cancelled because it was a crap idea from the beginning. Oh, so the being roasted by someone you look up to experience.exe. So, I'm sure we've all come across a moment at uni where you've created a piece of work and you're like, wow, job well done. Like, what an amazing piece of work. Like, oh, I'm ready for the industry. Like, hire me right now. And then your mates come in and gone, oh, that's a bit pants, mate. Like, who textured that? Someone with some Crayola. Yeah, it can be demoralizing, or you send your work off to someone in industry and they're just like awful. Like, you need to really work on your skills, and it's rough, right? I'm including this because this was almost like a pivotal moment in my career and a real wake up call. But I had a similar experience. But what really stung about this one was this was someone I really, really, really looked up to while I was at uni, and also while I was in the industry, right? So one of my favorite games that I played for like 2 years while I was in Romania was Escape from Tarkov. I absolutely love that game because I love the weapon customization. I love the amount of detail that went into it, and I think the weapons in that game are phenomenal. I still do. I remember we did our when Ghost Recon Breakpoint came out. we did an art dump on ArtStation, which is basically like it's a day where the studio goes, right, cool. You can go and post all the artwork that you've worked on ArtStation, and yeah, enjoy it. So we were all super excited to show the world what we'd done and our contributions to the game and stuff. And yeah, we went and posted. And then the next day, we just started getting like loads and loads of horrible messages on our posts, specifically from like there was like 3 dudes from Battle State Games, and they were all weapon artists, and they were posting all this nasty shit on our work. And you know, I was I was making this presentation the other day, and I was reading back on the comments, and I was like, oh, like these are pretty pathetic comments, right? They're like pretty tame in some areas, right? But I'm including this for a reason. Back then, I was seething, and I was actually really, really depressed for like 3 months over this. It really, really messed me up. And it's the first kind of time where like, I was in the industry. I was in this little bubble of like, I'm producing, I'm working for Ubisoft, right? I must be good. Like, I had this kind of bubble. And it's like when you work there, it's like you can do no wrong. It feels like you're indestructible because, right, I work for the developer that made Assassin's Creed. Like, nothing could touch me. I'm an industry professional now. And then this happened. And that was a real reality check for me. And it, really, really, really threw me off. I won't mention any names or who it is because, we're not that kind of people. But anyway, that forced me to basically look at my own work. I sat there for like 3 months, and I was like, I don't belong here. Like, why am I here? He's completely right. Like, my work's pretty ass. And I kind of became a bit self-destructive and was just feeling a bit awful about everything I'd done, which is nothing, right? I just done my job, so I hadn't actually done anything wrong. But it basically made me look at what I could do, look at what my strengths were, what my weaknesses were, and I was angry about it. So that anger kind of drove me to basically go away and improve my skills, right? So this is why I'm including this, because it's an example of like, people are going to say nasty shit to you. Like, people are really going to be nasty. But don't take it personally. Use it as a force for change, because you will come out of that 10 times better off. I think the Escape from Tarkov devs can piss off, to be honest. But I'm kind of thankful that it happened, because it taught me a lot about what my weaknesses were at the time. So a lot of the comments were about texturing. So basically, I went away and I modeled a few things, and I retextured a few things, and I basically worked on that skill for the next, like, it must have been like 3 or 4 months. It was a noticeable difference, because people at work were like, holy shit, you textured this really, really nicely. Like, there was a visible like difference, to the point where the senior members of staff were like recognizing it and stuff. And slowly I started building my confidence back up again. So, for example, this is one of the exercises I did. The texture on this, which was good. I enjoyed doing this. And then, because as a result of all that stuff, my texturing level is like what I'd like to think is pretty good now. I like to think it's pretty good. It's not, the best, but it's better than what it was back then. So these are some of the personal work pieces. Like I said before about personal work, these are the pieces that I've done for personal work to develop my skills further outside of work. Before that comment stuff happened, I kind of was just enjoying the job, and then I'd finish work, I'd go home, just play games and forget about, I was like, right, I'm in the industry, right? I don't need to develop anymore. Wrong. You want to keep developing as much as possible. Just because, like, if it's something you're passionate about, you're going to get better through the job anyway, but you need to keep pushing yourself, because otherwise you will get kind of stagnant and and it will become apparent that you've given up. But anyway, after all that, I did that Glock, and yeah, I got a nice comment from that dev, and I was like, yes, finally some good comments. So yeah, that was kind of like the close to that chapter, right? And now I don't really care. I look back on it now, I'm like, okay, Lewis, you may have took that a bit too personally, but that's the truth. That's who I was back then. I was very, very, very fragile when it came to that stuff, and I imagine a lot of you guys are in the same boat, because like at uni it's even harder, I think, because you look up to all these industry professionals, and you might send away your work, and you might at uni it's very easy to get stuck into this mindset of my work's really, really good. You're surrounded by friends that will turn around and say, yeah, your work's brilliant, you're doing really awesome, it looks sick, and it's like, that's not always the case. A lot of the time people are afraid to be truthful because they're worried that it might hurt you. And if there's one thing you take away from this talk today, I hope it's that you can go away and truly be self-critical on your own work, because a lot of you are probably sitting there thinking your work's amazing right now and you're ready to go. But it might not be. It might not be to standard. So it's really, really important that you're honest with yourself and honest with your peers about the quality of their work. And there's a way to say it. Don't turn around and go, "Oh, your work's shit, mate." Like, that doesn't help anyone. Say, "Look, listen, what you've got so far is good, but I think you need to push it further. And here's how I think you can do that. Are the textures okay? Is the model, is the topology ass?" Like, turn around and say, like, I think the topology needs some work. Be nice to each other, and don't if your mate comes to you and says that, don't savage them for it. Like, they're being honest with you, and you should 100% respect that and understand that, because at the end of the day, you're all just trying to get better at what you're doing, right? So you're only helping each other out, and the more accepting you can be of criticism, the better you're going to be in the industry, because my god, there is a lot of criticism, and it will come a lot. I have days at CIG where I'll make something and they'll be like, no, completely wrong direction, let's go back to the start and let's go this way instead. And if you take that personally, you're not going to survive long, because it's your job at the end of the day. You're getting paid to create the art director's vision, so you need to be ready for that. And that's a hell of a lot of stuff to deal with, right? It's quite, who knew there'd be this much emotion, this much emotional stuff to do with, a job. It's a lot to deal with. But who dealt with all this anyway, This guy did. This guy right here. Okay. So yeah, the Star Citizen experience. So, Bucharest got a bit much. I did eventually start to miss Greg's sausage rolls, so I had to make a beeline back home. Also, there was a pandemic on. I don't know if any of you caught that. But yeah, it was pretty rough. I know it was rough here, but in Romania they had like armed army, Romanian army going around, and they were checking people's papers. And every time I wanted to go to the shop, I had to write a document in Romanian, by the way, which is a bit a bit shit considering I can't speak Romanian. And you had to basically write where you were going. You had to do a street by street route of how you were going to get there. And yeah, if you didn't have this document on you in Romanian, you could get a €3,000 fine. And this went on for a little bit. It did loosen up a bit before I left, but I was like, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I could get bankrupted on my way to the shop. So yeah, I dipped. And basically, after I did that personal work was enough to get my portfolio to a standard where a studio like Cloud Imperium Games would even look at me. So yeah, happy days. I beat my texturing fears, and I got a portfolio that I think could get me a job at like most places now. That combined with my 2 years of experience that I had, which was invaluable. Like, I did 2 years, even though it wasn't good pay or anything like that, it gave me what I needed to progress. which I think is the main thing to know. You're not gonna all go work for Rockstar or I don't know, Sony Santa Monica. I'll use that as again because that's in my head at the moment. You're not all gonna go work for them and be on like 60 grand a year. Like it's not gonna happen. Like if you think you can come out of uni and do that, then yeah, it's gonna be rough when you come out of uni. The jobs are like not the best paid, but it's important to remember that like you need to get that experience also to become more valuable. So yeah, I joined CIG. It was work from home for a very long time, literally until like I think it was beginning of October this year. Working from home. I've literally written it in the PowerPoint. Why am I not reading that? Anyway, yeah, it was a very, very weird experience. I imagine it was weird for you guys working from home for uni and stuff. Kind of sucks a little because you don't really get that kind of connection with people because it's just over voice chat. But luckily, because of uni, all our friends had we had like a Discord, our Discord community. So we had the staff's unofficial game dev server, and we'd be on that all the time. And we had a mate. I say we had a mate as if he's like died or something. No, I have a mate called Steve Norgate. He's one of my best mates to this day. And we've met about 6 times in real life. Like every couple of years, we'll meet up. And yeah, he was completely he came to Staffs and he was completely remote for most of it. So we'd sit and chat with him on Discord, and I've kind of had that experience of working away from people. So yeah, I was living at my dad's, working in the spare room, and yeah, that was a weird experience. So back in October, we moved to the new office. So I moved up to Manchester in like April this year, because there was like a roommate at my dad's, and he was the biggest arsehole I've ever met. Honestly, literal human. There's only one person I hate in this world, and it's him. He is the. Anyway, we're not here to talk about my problems at home. So yeah, I moved up to Manchester, and then we started working in the new office, and it's amazing. It's the best office in the world, honestly. It's so good. We got like a barista. We got like 3 floors. There's like themed areas, so our reception is like themed off of Microtech, from Star Citizen. We got like a giant alien dude stood in the reception. Our main kitchen is like themed after Grimhex in the game. There's a massive like Grimhex sign, and it's all neon, and they're improving it as they go along because it's only just been built, but they're putting like themed stuff on the walls and stuff. So eventually each floor is going to be like a location in the game, and it's just crazy. It's honestly amazing. We've got 2 baristas that work there, serve us free coffee all day, and we get delivered like a mountain of pastries in the morning. I don't know how people make that many pastries in a day, but they're usually like around till lunchtime. There's literally a mountain, like it's huge, and that's all. Yeah, it's amazing, and I love it. And I've met so many cool friends, and it's truly is a dream workplace. Top right there is our building. We've got like the top 3 floors below us, so like booking.com, so we can we've got a balcony where we can like spit on them and like bully them. But no, yeah, these are all my friends. You can see Tom LaPonce laying across the bottom there. There's also Carl in the... What fruit is that? I don't even know what fruit that is. I'm not a fruit expert. I'm a 3D artist anyway. But yeah, we had like a cowboy themed barbecue and everything. It was brilliant. But yeah, some amazing experiences and some amazing work as well. So like the med bed in the game made the low tech version. Consoles and stuff. Bit more varied than weapon art. There's a lot more kind of, you could be working on like hard surface things one day, and then you could be working on like, I don't know, alien food another day. I mean, this is just some of the stuff that I like published a while back, but there's so much more to come as well. And then yeah, we've had a chance to be on like the live streams and stuff. So there's Tom LaPonce. There he is. That's the man, the myth, the legend in the chat right now. But yeah, we've done live streams about game development and stuff with the guys there, and yeah, who did all this cool stuff? This guy did. But who is this guy? We're gonna find out later. The life experience. So, that's where I am now. And now all that kind of stuff's out of the way, all the learning and the kind of development stuff. It's all ongoing, right? But I start now to think more about like what I actually want to do with my time outside of work a bit more. And this is a bit of a tangent. You might not find any of this relevant, but um, it will mean something in a bit. So like I said, I've done stuff like I've throughout this 4 year stint of being in the industry. I've been able to go do some amazing things, so like shooting weapons. I went Iceland with my best mate. We climbed like a glacier and stuff. More Iceland, one of the most gorgeous places ever. I'm an absolute avid aviation enthusiast, so I did a few pilot lessons, private pilot lessons, because I do eventually want to basically learn to fly a plane in my spare time, because I think that is like probably one of the coolest things ever. Again, back to Iceland, found a really big icicle. But yeah, the main thing to take away from this, right, is I'm doing stuff that really makes me happy, and that may seem kind of cringy from the outlook, right? But although you're working now and sweating your ass off to get this amazing job, it's not just the job you're working for, right? You're working for what is actually going to turn into like what everyone has a job is going to do, right? So it's not just the ability to do what you love every day; it's to be able to do what you love every day for a living, and then come out of that at the end of the day and be able to go do some insane stuff on top of that. Um, oh, can you play it from here? Oh, you can. Do I have any volume? Feels bad. But yeah, I recently got into Formula One, and because of where I am in my job now and stuff like that, I got to go to the Silverstone Grand Prix last year, which was insane. Insane. But that's what you're working towards, right? You're working towards that dream job, and also what that job's also going to give you afterwards as well, the ability to do some amazing things and amazing experiences, and to be able to do the things you love. um and who did all this? This guy did. Oh. But again, yeah, who is this guy? Now I post loads of stuff on Instagram and stuff about how cool my life is, and look at me, I'm a pilot now, I'm flying, I'm going to the Grand Prix, I'm like going to Iceland and all this stuff. Okay, but some of that stuff doesn't doesn't it doesn't show what's still going on in the background, right? And I think this is something that you lose when you get into industry. um yeah, I still deal with some of the stuff now, so I know at uni it's more intense, right? You don't feel good enough, the imposter syndrome kicks in, uh and you get worried about like letting your family down and stuff. I still go through that stuff now. It's not as intense, but I remember specifically at uni, I didn't feel good enough, um, at many points. Um, I felt a lot of imposter syndrome at many points. Um, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. And that's fine. That feeling never goes away, but you can learn to deal with it. Um, Even now, I still sometimes feel like I'm not good at my job. I might get something that I'm really uncomfortable with doing, like substance design still scares the living crap out of me. I still feel like sometimes my work isn't good enough. Um, every day I fight the feeling that I don't understand what I'm doing, because the reality of my new position is that like a lot of the time I don't understand what I'm doing. A part of my job now is to kind of learn bits that other teams would do and mix it in with what I'm doing and try and come up with like an end result, right? There's no clear path. So like when you become a senior, there's no longer, you have your lead, but my lead is an environment artist. He has never touched any of the props in the game. He doesn't understand how they're set up. There is no one above me now to tell me like what I need to know or what I need to learn. It stops with me now, and that is terrifying sometimes, and it's really hard to deal with. But you've got to carry on and just do your best and tell yourself it's fine, because like it is fine realistically. No one's expecting you to just conjure everything out. It's your job to work it out basically, and it's fine if you don't understand what you're doing. Just keep learning, keep trying, keep failing, learn from those failures, and eventually you'll get there. I worry that my co-workers hate me sometimes, which sounds silly, but for example, literally yesterday there was a file I had to modify, and I sent it backwards and forwards with this person about 5 times, trying to understand what they wanted. And I was just worried that like they'd badmouth me or never want to work with me again because of how many times it took, and it's just silly things like that your brain does, and it's it's never as bad as your brain thinks it is. I always worry I'm going to lose my job any day. Worry about layoffs, anything like that. You worry that your job maybe isn't as important to the game as other ones, but like it is. It really is. And it's just silly little things that your brain says. Anyway, 4 years ago, this is a long bit. This is the kind of conclusion. But 4 years ago, I finished uni, and I had no idea if I was going to be capable of pursuing like my lifelong dream of working in the games industry. And yeah, like writing this is kind of been really good for me, because I've been able to reflect on what's actually happened the last 4 years, which I haven't done in a few years. And yeah, I'm now close to becoming a lead on a game that I've admired for a super long time, and I've produced some of the most awesome art ever, all alongside friends I met at uni. Yeah, and the main thing for you guys, I guess, it's terrifying at uni. There's a lot of unknowns and imposter syndrome, and your brain's going to say all sorts of nasty stuff as well. And you're probably coping with a lot of you are probably coping with your own demons at the moment, alongside your uni work and dealing with that stuff. But yeah, just know that you have the potential to blossom into something beyond your wildest dreams. Oh, so sweet. It's so important to know that where you are now, everything you're feeling right now, I felt in exactly the same position. Okay, you're already on your way to becoming that person that you want to be, that job that you want to be. You're exactly where you need to be for that. Okay, no matter what kind of step you are, like how good you feel about how your skills are, you're in the right place, and it's the right time to basically learn and get your skills down. So no matter what stage you're at, it's possible and you can do it. You're on your way to becoming that guy, right? The one that's trending on ArtStation, the one that's taking up far too many expensive hobbies to support. And yeah, you're a few steps from working in your dream job in a field that you love. So, in conclusion, who is this guy? I'm proud to report that this guy is me, and this guy will also be you. Eventually, TM. But yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Like I said, this is a trial presentation, so it's rough around the edges, and I like to go off track a lot. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it really, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and stuff in the chat. And yeah, I'll open the floor to any questions now.
Thank you so much. It's nice to see that these kind of thoughts that we do hear from some students are where they're kind of worried and like don't know where they're going. You were in the same position, yet you managed to put yourself in a position of what you wanted to do. You wanted to work for this company and looking at the games you wanted to do, and you managed to get there. So I know it's at least very interesting and inspiring to hear from me, and I'm sure it will be that for the others as well. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I think that's the main thing that everyone should take away from this is like you're in the place you need to be in order to succeed right now. It's just that mindset switch. It's about being productive during that spare time and just remembering what the end goal is, right? Because, you know, I think at uni it's very easy to get lost in, right, I need to get my assignments in, you're laser focused on now, right? Or next Friday when the deadline's due. But think further than that. Think about why you're putting yourself through this stress now, because later it will be 100% worth it. And that's why I say, like, it's so important to watch those documentaries and stuff about, you know, game development and what it's like at the studio, right? Because you can directly compare that, right? Would you rather be working in that studio with all those passionate artists and programmers and designers and, you know, marketing people and, you know, or would you rather be working at Tesco picking and packing while you're doing art at home? Like, where do you want to be at the end of this experience, right? You want to be in that cool job that you've wanted since the beginning, right? So remember that, like, it's so important.
So I think we're on the point of opening up for questions. If anybody has questions that's on campus, you can either jump on Discord and put it in the chat, or just grab a hold of one of our officers that's there, and they can message me directly. So just gonna give that a couple of minutes and see if anybody has any questions, or
Yeah, sounds good. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Promise. I think I remember like I was so terrified of industry people, and then I started organizing these talks, and then like when you do them, and you know those people come in, you know you meet them in the car park, and you go for a coffee at the Costa below in the Thompson Library, and you have a chat with them first, and you get to know them, and I was like holy shit! Instead of just asking a question in a presentation, I'm literally sat having a coffee with one of the devs, and you realize they are just normal people. They're normal people like you. They have interests, and they're not gonna rip your head off or.
you want to just look at the questions yourself, or you want me to read them up, or obviously you're already working on that one, so
Yeah, I'm not sure why it hasn't. Let me just share again. I'm not sure why it wasn't showing that. There we go. So I forgot to, that's one thing I forgot to do is put the little icons next to it. So my email address is there. The next one is my Discord. The one after that is my Twitter. Let me just, I'll just add this in, can't I? And then the important one, ArtStation. Follow me on there because that's where I post all my cool stuff.
I know a couple of you from CIG are in this Discord, and like I see students posting stuff here and there. I'm sure like if they tag you guys, there wouldn't be any problem for you guys to look at what they're having to show.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm really bad with Discord at the moment, where like I won't go looking in the chats and giving feedback. But if you ever want to just shoot me some images of your work and like ask for some feedback, just literally DM me. I'm happy to get DMs or whatever. I might not always like answer straight away or provide like feedback straight away, but like feel free to just message me on Discord with like work and stuff directly if you want. You're not gonna bother me. I try and help as many students as I can, really. I think it's like super important. I remember at uni it just meant so much to me when it, you know, approaching industry members and getting feedback. I remember I spoke to this guy from Crytek once who worked on, well, he worked on Hunt Showdown, which was one of the games I was playing religiously at the time, and I loved the weapons and stuff. And he gave me like it must have been like 10 paragraphs of feedback. And it was I was just so thankful for it. So yeah, like feel free to message me with work and stuff, or you know, tag me if you'd prefer.
I see Trinity has a bit of a question, and it's on hands to rig. So I've seen ArtStation showcasing the guns and some hands to rig, and I've seen the link to where to buy them. Is it worth getting the hands? Is it worth spending that money on it or not?
So the hands that I use, they actually came in the handgun tutorial from that slide. So they came as part of that. I know that he's got some actual rigged hands that you can get. So I think they're only like 15 quid. If you're a weapon artist, I think for sure they're worth getting, especially if you're doing stuff for like first person stuff. So if you want to go work for Call of Duty or something, then I definitely think it's worth it. But yeah, I just reused the hands from that tutorial, to be honest, because I got them for free. Those the one from that tutorial isn't actually rigged though. It's like in a pistol pose, but luckily I can get away with stuff like that. Like I'll quickly show you. I've done it on on the rifle actually, because I've only got one hand. I've only got one hand holding the rifle in one of the shots. Oh wait, no. I think yeah, I've got a left hand as well. So it's not the right grip for the front, but it's the right grip for the mag. So I I like janked that shot together, and it's like it worked. But yeah, it's the same hands as the pistol. I think like if I was doing another gun, at the moment, I would probably buy the other hands as well. But to be honest, like these ones work pretty well for what I need. Like I think there was three in total. There was the left, the right, and then like the pistol grip one. But yeah, it kind of like it allows you to do these more dynamic shots, which is really awesome. So I'd say it's worth it. But yeah, if you're a weapon artist and you want to do weapons, then get that tutorial. That's the best investment you can make. Get that tutorial, learn the techniques in it, and just keep rinse and repeat. Right, like you don't have to do like a full gun, but reinforce your knowledge by doing something small. So like with Blender, right, I'm not modeling a full gun. I'm just doing one attachment, and then I will probably do another attachment of some kind, and then I'll actually move on to what I want to model, because I think it's so much easier for the information to sink in if you're doing like small little um, objects, as opposed to doing like, you know, an entire gun that's going to take you like, I mean, this Glock took me 2 months to do, believe it or not. It took me a month to model it correctly, and solve all the problems with the bait, and then I spent a month texturing it and then retexturing it over and over again till I got the result that I wanted. And that's mainly because the Escape from Tarkov dude also had a had a Glock, and I was like, I'm gonna do my Glock better because fuck you, and I did. And then you know, that guy that actually did the handgun tutorial, the other one, was the first to comment on it, saying it was really awesome, which was really validating for me, which was lovely. But yeah, this is the tutorial that comes with the hands.
While you're scrolling around, why don't you pull up your LinkedIn? So there's a question here about if we can connect to you on LinkedIn. So
Yeah, sure. So yeah, just Lewis Thompson on LinkedIn. This is my page. This is what it looks like. Go ahead. I usually like press accept on everyone. I think most of the time. It depends. I get like, because I used to work I did a part-time job at a lighting warehouse at one point. I sometimes get like people from like lighting companies try and add me, and I'm like, nah, bye. But yeah, that's my LinkedIn.
there's a question: have you fixed the unwrap for the Star Citizen armchair?
Have I fixed it? How do you mean? I don't remember. Oh, that's another tutorial I was looking at. The Star Citizen armchair. Was that a reference from the last talk I did? Is this the one?
He's typing, so I guess we'll figure it out in a bit.
I'm like, be accepting of critique. I'm like, where's Where's the problem with the unwrapping? What do you mean it's perfect? This was a fun little task, to be honest, because basically, like, we were trying to work out a way which we could reuse. So there was like a pre-baked like texture for wrinkles in the fabric, and we needed this armchair quick. So we basically just mapped. So the way this fabric texture was made was it was like in squares. So I basically mapped every single surface on this to a square, and then I covered the seams with like a tiny low polygon cylinder to make it look like you know how you have on like sofas and chairs sometimes that little ridge that sticks out. Basically just hid the seam with that, and it was the most galaxy brain move I've ever made.
Oh, it's referencing an old talk you've done.
Oh
You
my!
mentioned it was bad unwrap.
I probably hadn't fixed it, to be honest. I don't remember which. I don't remember which armchair it was. You've got a good memory. There it is.
Screenshot.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I haven't
And the
finished that.
wood is like warping.
Fuming, mate. How have you spotted it? Terrible. Are you guys part of the staff's uni mentoring program? I am not, because yeah, I already do a lot of like bits on the side for different places. To be honest, yeah, I've not got a huge amount of spare time, and to be honest, like, I usually just help students that reach out to me directly, purely because I feel like the students that reach out to like industry directly, I feel like that shows more about the student than if they're just kind of enrolled automatically onto like a mentorship program, right? Because if you're reaching out to industry, it shows that you're proactive. It shows that you want to get feedback directly from people working in the industry, and it helps build connections, right? Like, we've got a weapons artist at CIG called Talon, and he went to this uni. I wasn't at uni at the same time as him, but he's reached out to me about guns quite a bit. So yeah, when he started working at the studio, we were automatically mates. And yeah, it's just healthy. I just think I've had so many times where I've been kind of, someone's sent a student to me, and it's like, go little one, go learn from the artist, and half the time they don't do anything. And as bad as that sounds, like, you know, they're being handed a really awesome like resource, right? And they just don't use it. They just kind of go, they get feedback on some work, and then they do nothing with it. Whereas I'd rather help people that were like me back then, where I was like reaching out frantically, like, yo, how do I get a job? Like, what do I need to do to my work to improve it? And for me, that happened way too late, because I was in my third year and I'd only just decided that I wanted to do 3D, because year two for me was like animation, 3D, character art, hard surface art. What else? There was another random ass unit that was in there for no reason that I did, and I was just like, I've wasted 2 years exploring what I want to do, and now I don't have any skills to show for it. So I was, my third year, I was frantically searching for like feedback, and, you know, learning the stories of like how people got their jobs in the UK and what to prepare for. But yeah, like, reach out, like, if you want to be mentored in some form of capacity. I can't commit to like a huge amount of time, but I've done, you know, calls during the evening, like an hour call that turns into like 2-3 hours where I just talk about stuff. But yeah, like I said, I'm hesitant unless, that student actually wants to really use that time well. I mean, we get into industry, there's a lot of students that get sent your way by tutors, and it's just like, you invest a lot of time into them and they do nothing with it. And it's like a bit of a kick in the teeth sometimes. Yeah, Talon's lovely, man. Our little Harry Potter lookalike at CIG, our little Daniel Radcliffe.
have any other questions? Anything from campus at all?
It's cool. And does anyone like Terminator? We had a Terminator DLC at, at Ubisoft, and we got to make this cool ass weapon, which was really awesome. Oh yeah, and I got to work on the only Splinter Cell content to come out in a long time. Yeah, I look back on some of this and I'm like, what was I thinking? They were like, you need to make a cool ass silencer for this, and I did this. Awful. Just a square added onto the end of this gun. This was back when it was like, this was before I got reality checked. So
There's a question on CV and application pointers. So basically,
yeah,
if you have any at all, anything you would want students to include, anything you like seeing.
yeah. So well, the thing with CV. So if you're an artist, to be honest, the CV, like honest to God, it gets 30 seconds. I think the main part of the CV that we look for props at least is that we want to see a bit of pardon me. We want to see a bit of personality. We have had a lot of really, really amazing 3D artists apply for our job, and you go to talk to them, and there's nothing. Their life is eat, sleep, breathe 3D, which is great for 3D, but at Star Citizen, they want someone that likes sci-fi, right? Usually, and they want someone that can like talk about it as well. So like, they want to see what you do hobby-wise, right? They want to see what your interests are, right? If you collect stamps outside of work, then tell us, because we like seeing stuff like that. Not specifically stamps, but like, tell us all your quirks. Like, we like seeing that section that shows that you're not a robot, that you are a human with an awesome personality. And like, you know, I know there's so I mean, there's so many people, and a lot of the time, the thing that does separate you out, you may be on par with like 10 people 3D wise, right? But if you don't have the personality as well, and it's not even like personality, right? It's, everyone has stuff they enjoy doing. If that's just watching movies on Netflix, then put that in there. Like, we want to see that. There's too many people that are too scared to kind of, show that side, and it's important. You'll get 30 seconds looking over a CV, so there's not really like, you want to communicate what you can do, obviously. So if you're a 3D modeler, what relevant experience you've got from uni, any extra stuff you've done, but help build that picture, right? So if you imagine your art station is your like, right, I can do all this stuff, right? That is what will get you the interview. But the CV, you want to talk about your hobbies and stuff as well. You don't want to just seem like you're just 3D, 3D, 3D. You want to have that, tell us you like Star Wars, tell us you're into Disney, tell us like, I don't know, you collect stamps, or you drink coffee on the regular, or you're passionate about Turkey Dinosaur. I don't care. Like, show us something, because I can't tell you how many I must have interviewed about 4 people the last couple of months that have been amazing 3D modelers. Some of them better than me, like a lot better, and they just haven't been able to hold a conversation. We've gone into the interview and we've asked them about what they enjoy, what inspired them about their work, like, why do they like sci-fi? They're like, yep. What do you like about sci-fi? What sci-fi stuff do you like? I like Star Wars. Right, but give us more. Like, what do you like about Star Wars? Like, what is it? The characters, the ships, like the worlds, the whole hero's journey arc. Like, tell us about all that. Like, elaborate, and want to see that you're not just a shell, essentially.
Speaking of fun and such, what model did you have most fun making?
Oh, That's a good question. They're all equally as horrible. No, I don't know actually. I enjoyed all of it really. It's really really difficult to be honest. I really enjoyed this one, and that is because this one took me forever. It literally took me like a year, and the reason it did is because I got really burnt out halfway and everything. But um, yeah, the beautiful thing about this model is I modeled all of the internals and everything for it. Like everything on this is modeled, and this shows some of it, but it doesn't show all of it. Like I modeled everything. Like if you 3D printed this, and all the measurements were correct, like most of them are like I'd say pretty correct, but some of them are probably off a little bit just because I'm doing it all by eye. I'm not measuring out every single bit like 100%. If you 3D printed this, it would work. Like it would work. I modeled everything. I'm wondering if I've got the file actually. See if I can quickly load that up.
While you're looking for that, is there any roles in Cloud Imperium that you know of that graduates can jump straight into?
So with Cloud Imperium, if your work's good enough, they don't care if you've come out of uni or not. I mean, I think the only thing that really affects is how much you get paid because they put the salary up for people that are more experienced. But I actually have an intern on my team called Alex. He's from a place called the Game Assembly in Sweden, which is a Swedish university. But he's an intern on our team, so he's not even finished his uni yet. So he's doing an internship with our team. But yeah, to be honest, as long as your work's good enough, I don't like just apply. And like I said, it's the art station that will carry you. Like I think the art station is the most important thing. It doesn't matter if you're a student or what experience you have. If your art is good, you'll get an art test. Like, and obviously the personality. Like, if you can hold a conversation for like a minimum of a minute, right? You don't have to be like this amazing social butterfly. Like, it's not about that. Because I get it, right? Like, there is a lot of people at our work that like honestly, like if I don't have a coffee in the morning, I ain't talking to anyone. People will talk to me and I'll be like, like you don't have to be an amazing social butterfly, but like just they just want to see you're passionate and that you can talk about things you love. And that's it. I can't load up the file because I don't have a Max license anymore because they took away my student one. It took them 2.5 years after I finished uni, and they took it away from me. Then I was like, you bastards. Now I've got to learn Blender, which is why I'm learning Blender because I'm not paying $1,000 for 3ds Max. No, thank you.
While we're on software, there's a question on have you modeled in CAD software yet?
I haven't, no. So it's something I'd like to explore eventually because I did like back in school. I did like engineering. We did some CAD stuff then, and I'd kind of like to because I'd like to be able to basically make like parts for things because I find mechanical stuff quite interesting. I haven't used anything like Fusion or anything like that because although it's good to model things like that, there's a hell of a lot cleanup as a result of that. And to be honest, I find it really therapeutic modeling stuff in Max because it's really really chill and yeah, I just like it and I'm kind of used to my workflows at the moment. I'm changing it up a bit now with Blender because I want to eventually like sell some stuff, maybe make a couple of tutorials or something. Like I feel like I'm at that level now where I can kind of pass some knowledge at least. But no, I haven't touched anything CAD related. Problem we see a lot from people that use Fusion is like cool. They'll come out with this like really cool like cool shapes and a cool mesh. But when it comes to actually optimizing it for game use, it's usually a no go. Like it's usually being retopped in the wrong way, or it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to convert that back to a game mesh. Whereas like there are techniques, like I keep talking about the ZBrush Dynamesh workflow, right, from this tutorial, but it is literally a case of you make like a low poly, you whack a couple of modifiers on it, stick it in ZBrush, your high poly's done, and then your low poly is also done, because it's pretty much like all you have to do is then add some booleans to the low poly and just tidy up a bit, and it's so fast and so quick. So I don't really see like an alternative to that that's kind of worth using. Obviously at Star Citizen we use our weighted normals workflow as well, so like a lot of our stuff is just built. We don't have a high poly for a lot of it. It's just you just model what you want, right, and it's done. So yeah, I want to explore it at some point, but I haven't used it.
Thank you. I think we're kind of getting to the point where we should wrap up, seeing as it's like 8 o'clock already. I can see someone typing in chat, so I'm just gonna let that one. I'm quite a blunt person when it comes to critiques. Someone's working. Okay, so the question is on blunt personalities. Is it okay to have a bit of a blunt personality in industry, or is it not?
I think the important thing about industry, right, is you have to be, so if you're working in a team, you just have to be good at kind of, working with your team and be understanding of how other people are feeling, right? Because like I spoke about earlier, with everyone at uni is all going through the same thing of imposter syndrome, right? And not feeling good enough. And as artists specifically, we're always fighting with ourselves about, is something good, is it not, I don't like this, or I do like this but it could be better. And we're always fighting for that perfect piece, right? But it never arrives, because like the saying is, it's like an artist's work's never done, right? You always, you can do that final 10% forever, and there's a point where it's just diminishing returns, right? But you need to be conscious of how other people are going to receive your feedback, because if you are just blunt in a lot of scenarios, you can very easily upset someone, and as a result, they're going to be demotivated, or they're going to get burnt out because they're going to feel like they're just doing things wrong. So the best thing to do, if you feel like you have a blunt personality, try and work on it a bit. Don't, I know you say don't sugarcoat it, right? But there's the shit sandwich technique, right? And like, as silly as it sounds, it works. So you start off with, cool, I really like this about your work, and then in the middle you put all the stuff that needs to work on or whatever, and then at the end you can close it with like something else you like about the work. So you're kind of giving a mix of feedback rather than just, oh, okay, this. It needs to be, you need to not offend people. By all means, be truthful and honest, but there is a polite way of doing it, right? Because the Tarkov dev that I spoke about earlier, a lot of his feedback was valid. A lot of it. There was a lot of feedback there that was very valid, and I took all of that feedback on. But the way it was delivered was fucking awful. Everyone, like, I mean, I'm not going to go on it now, but you can go through my art station. You'll find some of the comments on the work, and you'll see, like, just the way he's delivered his feedback. People are jumping on him and roasting him for it, and basically telling him to do one, and that the amount of support I had on those posts from other game developers and artists was amazing. Like, it helped a lot. It made me feel, because I was like, is my work really that bad that I just deserve to take this shelling? Like, like, why has my work offended this dude so much that he feels the need to comment on like my entire team's work? But everyone else was commenting, and it was kind of validating in a way that I was okay to feel the way that I did at the time. So yeah, I think you really need to kind of, it's fine being blunt, but try and make an effort to not, don't just deliver the harsh news, right? you know, Try and deliver it with some kind of, like, in a polite way. So look, you've done a really awesome job. Like, I see you've been working really hard on this. There's a few things that I feel like you could improve. Just saying it like that, right?